So today we're going to talk about turning housing data into a market advantage. So I think that was a good segue. I want to introduce to Ivo Draginov. He is the co-founder and president of BatchData. Ivo, I mean, we'll just start off with, I want you to tell everyone a little bit more about BatchData and kind of what you think it means turning data into a market advantage using BatchData, and how you've seen your clients do just that.
Yeah, great question. I think it gets this question gets to the very bottom of why we exist as a company. When I think about market advantage, I think about having clean, very accurate, connected data that's also real-time data. And part of the reason why we oftentimes win as a company is because not only of our multiple data sets that we have, but also because we're able to oftentimes displace other competitors in the space because we're able to natively connect into other companies' tech stacks, whether that's a sales team, a marketing team, a RevOps team, or their data engineering. We're able to provide and natively integrate inside of their workflows very efficiently. Just a brief background. BatchData is a company that specializes in having residential commercial data, homeowner demographics data, as well as homeowner contact information. To reverse a little bit back, a couple of years ago, or 7 years ago at this point, we started Batch Leads. We had a Batch Leads platform that got sold to Stewart Title just recently in July. And we're currently running BatchData as an independent entity. So 2 of the products that we owned got sold to Stewart Title. We had primarily focused on providing data and services to the residential mom and pop type investors. We had tens of thousands of investors. Now the BatchData is mainly solving problems for the B2B industry. And we're oftentimes the company behind the company that's feeding the data flows. So a company like a Zillow type of a company. There's obviously a lot of different marketing companies that use this, and so forth. To give you a quick example, just a couple days ago, actually on Tuesday, I think, me and Matt, who's over there, talked to a gentleman. He came to us, just a sales call, and he's like, "Hey, I went to basically 2 of your competitors. This is what they offered me. It's a bulk data delivery, and that's how the industry has typically worked, for a very long time." So they offered him a multi-year contract, sub $200,000 annual contract, like a multi-year contract, and he's like, that's what he came looking for. So his goal was to build a PropTech application that's a blend between a CRM and a lead generation platform. And he asked basically, what is the cost for a bulk data offering? And obviously we can sell that to him just like anybody else in the space. But I told him, look, I've built 5 actually products, successful PropTech applications. I personally wouldn't want to sell you this data because I know it's going to be challenging for you to be able to first ingest this data, because not only do you need application engineering teams to be able to work on the actual application itself, you need data engineering teams that specialize in are able to process this data. And our goal as a company has been to really democratize a lot of this data across the industry and make it readily available for individuals, companies of all sizes to be able to use it. So in this example, we got him on a monthly plan, an API package, where he can go from start off with as little as $500 a month, start proving concept and start developing it, and then as he scales and as his user base scales, he can obviously upgrade to an unlimited package.
Yeah.
Down the line.
Yeah, I know we've talked about this idea of bringing someone from the status of, oh, I have all this data in a spreadsheet and it's great data, but bringing that into the actual workflow. Can you talk a little bit more about that and sort of, how that example maybe corresponds?
Yeah, I mean, when I think about that, I often think about having advanced automations, predictive analytics, and then really just access to the actual data itself. In terms of advanced automations, one of the features that we've developed and made available to the industry is what we internally call smart search and smart monitoring APIs. So smart search APIs, as an example, would be really the buy box. So you as an investor, I mean, you could be just a mom and pop investor looking for an off-market property deal, or it could be like a PropTech application as well.
Can you tell us a little bit about like a buy box in general, like what kind of?
Yeah, so a buy box, as an investor, for instance, I'm looking for properties that are in the Phoenix metro area, that are, let's say, vacant properties, a pre-foreclosure, and maybe an owner that owns 2 or more properties, and he's out of state. So anytime a property like that matches my criteria, I get that property sent to me on the day one proactively, instead of me having to ask the question. Because that's how a typical API works. You ask a question, you get an answer. You ask a question, you get another answer. But how often do you ask this question? That's really the question.
You have to remember to ask the question.
Yeah, as opposed to the way what we've developed is really like it's a push event-driven API where we can give you the data as it happens in real time, and it's very powerful. And then the other one is the smart monitoring API, where imagine you're an institutional investor, you can be a nationwide lender that has a portfolio of properties that you're monitoring, and the same could apply to an individual investor as well. But you're monitoring a set of properties, and you basically register those properties against the API or the infrastructure. And anytime a property changes statuses, the property goes on the market, becomes active, goes pending, ownership changes, you get those alerts, and you can obviously make proactive decisions. As far as the predictive analytics, one of the products that we have is called Batch Rank. It's a predictive score as far as like from 0 to 100 as far as how likely a property is to sell in the next several months. And I just looked at the numbers a couple of days ago. So looking at the numbers from January up until now, anytime we've said that a property is going to sell, we're correct 64% of the time. And it's a big deal in the industry, because especially with a lot of the investors that we service that are oftentimes looking for off-market deals as opposed to on-market deals. We also analyze on-market, predictability indexes, but it's a very powerful feature that allows investors to really have an advantage in the market. And the last one is the access mechanisms of how you access the data. I said earlier we've been trying to democratize data, really since the founding of the company. And one of the things that we've developed, and we're actually launching it very soon, we have a self-hosted version available. We're launching more of a robust, fully managed solution, is an MCP server. So, and I think John from Cotality kind of talked a little bit about that concept earlier so an MCP server is really just a wrap on top of our APIs that can use an individual user, can ask questions against your favorite LLM chatbot, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, and you can ask it questions such as I'm looking for properties that are between 2 and 3% interest rates, between 3 and 500,000 property valuation, and I'm looking in this area, and the natural language prompt will be able to be translated into a very sophisticated API query, and you'll be able to get the results back instantaneously. So it's a very powerful way of how we're trying to just democratize data and make it readily available, not only for larger people, like larger companies to use inside of their applications, but also as an individual investor, as a user, just looking to kind of get started in the industry.
Can you give us some examples of, from the big, more enterprise side, because I know you have those as clients as well as kind of a mom and pop investor. What kinds of questions are they asking? What kind of data are they pulling?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot. Some of the larger companies, I'll give you a couple of examples of. True Green, they're I'm pretty sure they're the largest lawn care company in the United States. They use their data for various things to be able to, and they're looking to analyze also parking lot structures and so forth as far as where they can market, what individuals they can market to, because we not only provide the data to them, we also provide the contact information for these individuals. Daikin is another company of ours. So Daikin is a HVAC company. They're the largest in the world. They own a couple of air conditioning brands here in the States, but I think they do upwards of $30 billion annual revenue. So it's their data and analytics department that contacted us about a year ago. So then they licensed our core property file plus our permit data, And what they're doing with this data is they're looking at and analyzing property sizes and looking at ownership trends across the country to be able to decide what type of air conditioners to build, basically.
Yeah, so they're using real estate data to make decisions about their HVAC company and lawn care company, yeah.
Yeah, and we also sell obviously to the other like prop tech applications, a lot of prop tech applications actually. That's really our bread and butter. Because we were our own first customer, so BatchData powered our Batch Leads application that got spun out and sold to Stewart Title just recently, and we power also like PropStream is another company that is under the Stewart Title umbrella. I mean, they do upwards of 60 million in annual revenue. So they're a substantial company that utilize our data on the back end.
So we're talking about all these different examples of how people have used the platform and the tools you've built. For the audience here, what are some data sets or data capabilities that people aren't talking about enough that are useful? Can you tell me a little bit about what some of those things are?
So data capabilities?
Yeah, just sort of like what are some success stories within what you've seen that maybe people don't even know what to ask for? Because I feel like we've talked about before, a lot of times people don't even know what's out there. You can have all the data in the world, but if you don't know the right question to ask, how can you use it in your workflow?
Yeah, so I mentioned a few of those. I mean, the smart search APIs are like extremely like powerful for various kind of needs. The smart search APIs that I mentioned, the smart monitoring, you can monitor properties, you can monitor like your buy boxes anytime a property matches or no longer matches a criteria. You can get alerted on. The propensity modeling, and you can bundle all of those. You can integrate it inside of like various platforms. So, for instance, we have we work with quite a lot of like just I would say individual investors, but they're bigger kind of players in the industry. He's actually a personal friend of mine at this point, but he's one of the largest like house flipper in Vegas. So he does about upwards of 20 properties on a monthly basis, both fixing and flipping and wholesaling. And on a very similar use case, actually, another company that they're actually based out of Israel. They do about 750 properties, same fixing and flipping and wholesaling in the nation. They're using our smart search APIs to be able to like enhance their CRM functionalities. So, for instance, they not only cleanse data when properties go inside of their CRMs, but they're also like able to like both prioritize and deprioritize leads, so to know which so they can be very efficient as far as what they're as far as how their like lead flows are working. So, for instance, the person that I'm mentioning in Vegas, he's using our APIs and our batch rank to be able to say, okay, which leads should my sales guys go after like this month or pretty much in real time, based on the property data that we're seeing. So, for instance, is there a property that recently went vacant, went into pre-foreclosure, or any kind of other distress indicators? And we're looking at property data, but also consumer demographics data, consumer trends as well, to be able to kind of give them those signals. So they're able to prioritize leads, but also deprioritize leads. So if let's say I'm looking for off-market properties and the property just went on the market, active on the MLS, most likely that's not going to be a deal for me, so I won't opt it out of my workflows and marketing follow-ups.
I see, yeah.
Sequences.
And we just have a little bit of time left, but I wanted to ask you, we've talked a lot about the capabilities of batch data right now, and you're in this space of, questions and answers. What kind of questions are people asking? What kind of data do they need? And then providing that to them in a way that works into their workflow. Where do you think this space is going to be in 2 years? Because this technology is moving at, the speed of light right now. So where are the capabilities going to be?
Yeah, so I think, again, I just referred to like kind of John, because I think he hit it right on the mark. As far as people are often like less interested in owning the data, the raw data, and they're really looking for predictive outcomes. Instead of like, us like licensing them the data, which we can obviously do, and a lot of companies need the actual raw data to make sense of, what's happening and, run trends and analysis and so forth. Oftentimes they're just looking for answers as far as that's what I need. So you can plug it into, and this is where our company is like moving towards, is really just incorporating a lot of the AI workflows, a lot of like the AI assisted like prompts to be able to, hey, like I just need these and these properties, do it for me basically, just give me the results, as opposed to me owning the entire like data and being able to piece it together and make sense of it. Mm-hmm. So it's really just more about owning the actual predictive, it's going towards predictive outcomes as opposed to just the raw data itself.
Gotcha. Yeah, thank you so much, Ivo.
Thank you.